A reading from the book of Genesis, chapter 23. Sarah's death and burial. Sarah lived 127 years. These were the years of the life of Sarah. And Sarah died at Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan. And Abraham went in to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. And Abraham rose up from before his dead and said to the Hittites, I am a sojourner and a foreigner among you. Give me property among you for a burying place, that I may bury my dead out of my sight. The Hittites answered Abraham, Hear us, my lord, you are a prince of God among us. Bury your dead in the choicest of our tombs. None of us will withhold from you his tomb to hinder you from burying your dead. Abraham rose and bowed to the Hittites, the people of the land, and he said to them, If you are willing that I should bury my dead out of my sight, hear me and entreat for me Ephron the son of Zohar, that he may give me the cave of Machpelah, which he owns. It is at the end of his field. For the full price let him give it to me in your presence as property for a burying place. Now Ephron was sitting among the Hittites, and Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham in the hearing of the Hittites, of all who went in at the gate of his city. No, my lord, hear me. I give you the field, and I give you the cave that is in it. In the sight of the sons of my people I give it to you. Bury your dead. Then Abraham bowed down before the people of the land, and he said to Ephron in the hearing of the people of the land, But if you will hear me, I give the price of the field. Accept it from me, that I may bury my dead there. Ephron answered Abraham, My lord, listen to me. A piece of land worth 400 shekels of silver, what is that between you and me? Bury your dead. Abraham listened to Ephron, and Abraham weighed out for Ephron the silver that he had named in the hearing of the Hittites, 400 shekels of silver, according to the weights current among the merchants. So the field of Ephron in Machpelah, which was to the east of Mamre, the field with the cave that was in it, and all the trees that were in the field throughout its whole area, was made over to Abraham as a possession in the presence of the Hittites, before all who went in at the gate of his city. After this, Abraham buried Sarah his wife in the cave of the field of Machpelah, east of Mamre, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan. The field and the cave that is in it were made over to Abraham as property for a burying place by the Hittites. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. So in this chapter we see how Sarah, Abraham's wife, passed away, and Abraham was basically a foreigner in a foreign land among the Hittites, and he didn't own that land at all, but he needed a place to bury his wife. Nowadays I could kind of translate that to maybe somebody who's coming to this country of the United States illegally and doesn't own any land, and has lived here for some time, and then their wife dies and they want to bury their wife here in the United States, probably have trouble finding a proper burial site for his wife. That's kind of what was going on with Abraham back then. He was living among the Hittites, but he didn't own any property, any land, no burial site where he could bury his wife. And yet he mourned for her, he cried over her, but he still needed to give her proper burial, somewhere where he could bury her. And so he had to negotiate with the Hittites at the time. And it looks like Abraham had set his eyes upon this one cave in the fields of that belonged to Ephron. And Ephron was there during this meeting with all the Hittites, and he told Abraham that he could basically have it. He didn't have to buy it from him. But then Abraham was like, no, I don't want you to give it to me for free. Or at least this is what I've understood from the reading. And so he said, give me the what you would ask me for something to pay for it. I don't want it for you to give it to me for free. And so Ephron told him 400 shekels of silver, which I'm not sure how much that would translate nowadays. It might have been a little bit, might have been a lot, might have been. I don't think it was a lot though. I think it was probably something very, very affordable. And so Abraham bought it, and he gave his wife Sarah a proper burial. And what also comes to my mind while reading this chapter is the importance and significance of burying one's wife. I've been married to my wife for 4 years, and Lord willing, I'll continue to be married to her for the rest of my life. And when that day comes, when the Lord calls her from me, whether or not I die first or she dies first, it's not up to me to decide. It's God's will. But if she were to die first, I want to be able to make sure that I have somewhere decent and for my wife to die, for my wife to be buried. And I know I had a conversation with her not too long ago, and the only thing she made clear to me is that she did not want to be sent back to Guatemala where she was born. She wanted to be buried here in the United States, and her children too, and everybody basically that was her immediate family. She wanted to be buried here in the United States. Now, I was a little bit shocked because sometimes people, when they're born in a different country, they want to be buried over there, especially if they don't have too long living out here in the United States. But not her. She's definitely one who wants to be buried out here, and I respect that. I respect that 100%. And I know my wife and I have made the proper arrangements to get life insurance in case one of us dies, at least pay off some of the or most of the burial costs. So that should be okay. May God help us all and bless our lives to the fullest. And may we not find ourselves needy of money to pay off the rest of our burial costs.